Why does Jacob's birth certificate say Daniel's the father? I didn't mean to say it like that. So flat, so sudden. But once the words were out, there was no pulling them back. Brooke froze, her hands still buried in the laundry basket, one of Jacob's tiny socks dangling from her fingers like a white flag. She didn't say anything, just stared at me. Her lips parted, but no sound came. My name's Cameron, I said quietly, more to myself than her. I'm his dad. I've been his dad for 10 years. I held the paper up. It wasn't a copy, it was the original. Crisp, folded neatly in a folder marked 2013 Jacob. I'd been sorting through our filing cabinet trying to get ahead on taxes. I wasn't looking for anything. But there it was, under the section labeled Father, Daniel. I laughed at first. Thought maybe it was a typo. Maybe the hospital made a mistake. Maybe I'd accidentally grabbed someone else's file. But then I dug deeper. I found the older copies, the hospital discharge papers, the insurance forms. All of them said the same thing. Father, Daniel. Cameron, Brooke finally said, her voice cracking. I held up a hand. Just don't lie. She dropped the sock. It fluttered to the floor like something dying. I was going to tell you, she whispered. When? I asked. When he turned 18? When he got married? When he asked why he doesn't look like me? Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't move. I didn't comfort her. I didn't do anything. Please, she said, please don't say anything to Jacob. He doesn't know. He thinks you're his dad. Because you are. You've always been. I looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman I'd married, the woman I'd built a life with, the woman who had once cried in my arms when Jacob took his first steps. How long? I asked. She hesitated. I stepped forward. How long? Once, she said. It was a mistake, just once, a long time ago. Who else knows? No one, she said quickly. I swear, not even Daniel. He doesn't know Jacob is his. I stared at her. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe this was just some horrible accident, some drunken night that spiraled out of control. But Daniel, my best friend since college, my best man, Jacob's godfather. I walked past her into the hallway and grabbed the framed photo off the wall. Me holding Jacob in the hospital, fresh out of the womb. My eyes were red from crying. My smile was so wide it barely fit in the frame. You let me believe this, I said. For 10 years. Brooke stepped toward me, reaching out. I didn't know for sure. I didn't get a test. I didn't want to know. But you put his name on the certificate. I panicked, she said. I didn't know what to do. I thought it would just go away. That it didn't matter. I turned the photo over in my hands. My fingers trembled. Cameron, she said softly, you're his father. Nothing changes that. I didn't answer. I walked into the living room, sat down on the couch, and stared at the TV, which was off. The silence felt like a scream. Upstairs, I heard Jacob humming to himself. Probably building something with his Legos. He loved those things. Said he was going to be an engineer like Grandpa. I closed my eyes. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just sat there. The picture frame in my lap, the birth certificate still in my hand. Brooke didn't follow me. She stayed in the kitchen. Maybe she was crying. Maybe she was texting Daniel. I didn't care. That night, after Jacob went to bed, I stood in the hallway outside his room. I could hear him snoring softly, one arm hanging off the side of the bed. I looked down at the photo of me holding him, the one I'd taken off the wall. You're not mine, I whispered. Then I turned off the hallway light and walked back to our bedroom, where Brooke lay curled up, pretending to sleep. I didn't touch her. I didn't speak. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, and waited for morning, because something inside me had snapped, and I wasn't sure it could ever be put back. The next morning, I made coffee like nothing had happened. Brooke came down wearing her robe, hair still damp from the shower. She paused when she saw me at the kitchen counter pouring Jacob's cereal. Morning, I said, not looking at her. She hesitated. Morning. Jacob bounced in a few seconds later. Dad, I finished my Lego tower. It's taller than my head now. I smiled. That's amazing, buddy. Eat your cereal and I'll check it out before I leave. Brooke watched me. I didn't give her anything. No glare, no cold shoulder, no hint of what I was thinking. Just calm, steady. After I dropped Jacob off at school, I didn't go straight to work. I drove to the park near the old community center and sat in the car with the birth certificate on the passenger seat. I stared at Daniel's name. So neat, so final. I knew his handwriting. I'd watched him fill out college applications with that same penmanship. I pulled out my phone and opened our shared cloud account. Brooks photos, videos, notes. I started scrolling. Nothing recent looked suspicious, but I wasn't looking for now, I was looking for 10 years ago. I searched by date, found a folder labeled 2013 pregnancy. Inside were dozens of photos, her belly, ultrasounds, a video of me painting the nursery. Then I found a screenshot of a text conversation. I zoomed in. Daniel, you sure about this? Brooke, it's better this way. He'll never know. I sat there, heart thudding against my ribs. That was all I needed to see. I went home and dug through Brooke's old drawers. She kept everything, birthday cards, receipts, expired coupons. In the back of a jewelry box, I found it, a small black flip phone. Dusty, dead. I plugged it in. It took 10 minutes to boot. My hands didn't stop shaking. The messages were still there. Dozens of them. From Daniel. Daniel, I miss you. Brooke, we can't. Not again. Daniel, I still think about that night. Brooke, he's starting to suspect. I scrolled further, my stomach clenched. Then I found the voice memos. The first one was just static. The second, her voice laughing. He really thinks Jacob's his? Makes it easier not to feel guilty. God, if he ever finds out. I dropped the phone. My fingers were numb. Later that night, Brooke sat on the couch folding laundry. I sat across from her, nodding at the right moments, asking about her day, pretending I hadn't just heard her admit to the biggest betrayal of my life. She smiled when she talked about Jacob's upcoming birthday. I was thinking we could do a backyard party again. He loved it last year. Maybe rent the projector, do a little video. You always make the best ones. Sure, I said. Sounds good. She looked relieved. I stood up, kissed her forehead, and said I was going to take a shower. In the bathroom, I locked the door and turned the water on full blast. Then I sat on the edge of the tub, phone in hand, and played the memo again. He really thinks Jacob's his... I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just listened. Then I saved the file and emailed it to myself. The next morning, I dropped Jacob off at school and drove straight to Freddie's studio. He was editing something on his laptop, headphones around his neck. Hey, man, he said. You okay? You look like you haven't slept. I need your help, I said, and I need you to promise you won't ask why until I'm done explaining. He raised an eyebrow but nodded. I pulled out the old phone, the birth certificate, and a USB drive. I want to make a video, I said, for Jacob's birthday, but the second half, and it's not for him, it's for everyone else. Freddie leaned back in his chair. What kind of video are we talking? The kind that ends friendships and marriages. He stared at me for a long time. Then he picked up the USB and said, All right, let's burn the house down. Freddie stared at the screen, headphones on, mouth slightly open. He pulled them off slowly. Jesus, he muttered. She really said that? I nodded. It's her voice. I didn't edit anything, just cleaned the audio. He leaned forward, rubbing his face. And Daniel? He doesn't know you know? No, neither of them do. Freddie looked at me like he was trying to figure out if I was about to cry or explode. I did neither. Instead, I opened my backpack and pulled out a small black recorder. I need one more thing, I said. A confession, on tape. He blinked. You're going to get her to admit it? She already has. I just need it clean. No yelling, no accusations, just her voice saying it out loud. He hesitated. You sure about this? Because once you hit play, you can't undestroy someone. I met his eyes. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just showing people what's already broken. That night, I cooked dinner. Her favorite. Garlic lemon chicken, roasted potatoes, and a bottle of wine we'd been saving. Brooke looked surprised when she came home. What's all this? She asked, setting her purse down. Thought we could have a night, I said. Just us, talk. She smiled, cautious but hopeful. That sounds really nice. We ate. We laughed. I poured her another glass, then another. When the plates were cleared, we sat on the couch, and I reached over, took her hand. I've been thinking a lot lately, I said. About us, about Jacob. Her smile faltered just slightly. Yeah? I just want to understand. Everything, no judgment, no yelling, just the truth. She looked at me, eyes darting slightly. Why now? Because I want to move forward, I said. But I can't do that unless I know what I'm forgiving. She exhaled slowly. Okay. I reached down and clicked the recorder in my pocket, covered it with a throw pillow. I just need to hear it, I said softly. From you. She stared at the wine glass in her hand, then set it down. It was 10 years ago, she said. I was scared. You were working late all the time, and I felt alone. Daniel came over one night. I didn't plan it. It just happened. I nodded. And Jacob. She swallowed hard. I didn't think he was Daniel's at first. I told myself he wasn't, but when he started to look like him, her voice cracked. I couldn't admit it. Not to myself, not to you. Why put his name on the certificate? I panicked, she said. I thought if I put your name and it ever came out, it'd be fraud. I didn't want to lie to the government. But you were okay lying to me. She winced. I didn't know what else to do. Does Daniel know? No, she said quickly. I never told him. I don't even think he remembers that night. I leaned back, letting the silence stretch. She looked at me, eyes wide. Are you going to leave? I don't know, I said, but I needed to hear it. She reached for my hand. I love you, Cameron. You're Jacob's dad. No one else. I didn't answer. I just squeezed her hand and stood up. I'm going to go for a walk, I said. Clear my head. She nodded, tears pooling in her eyes. I walked out the front door, down the block, and around the corner to my car. The recorder was still running. I clicked it off and sat there in the dark, listening to the last few seconds. I love you, Cameron. You're Jacob's dad. No one else. I sent the file to Freddie. 10 minutes later, he texted, Got it. This is the final nail. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I texted back, Let's build the coffin. I stood in the kitchen holding a bouquet of sunflowers, Brooke's favorite. The door creaked open behind me and she stepped in, surprised. For me? She asked, taking the flowers. Yeah, I said, smiling. Thought we could start fresh. Her eyes searched mine. You sure? I'm trying, I said. I want us to be okay. For Jacob. She hugged me. I hugged her back. I even kissed her cheek. I had to. Because the more she believed I was healing, the more satisfying the fall would be. Over the next few days, I played the role. I brought home takeout, suggested therapy, even booked a session. Brooke started to relax around me, laughing more, touching my arm when she passed, making plans for Jacob's birthday like nothing had ever happened. She had no idea I was burning the bridge while she walked across it. I called Daniel that Thursday. Hey, man, he answered. Been a while. Everything good? Yeah, I said. I've just been swamped with work and stuff. Listen, Jacob's birthday is coming up. We're doing a backyard thing again. You and Victoria should come. Of course, he said. Wouldn't miss it. I hesitated a second. Actually, come early. I'm putting together a video for Jacob. Wanted to run it by you first. Make sure you're cool with some of the old footage. Sure thing, he said. Victoria's gonna love that. She's obsessed with baby videos. I bet she is. That night, I sent Victoria a message. Hey, I know this is out of the blue, but I need you to come to Jacob's party a little early. There's something you need to see. Please, it's important. She replied a few hours later. Is everything okay? Not yet, but it will be. I didn't sleep much after that. The next day, I picked Jacob up from school and he climbed into the back seat, beaming. Can we get balloons for the party? I want blue and gold, like the Avengers. You got it, bud. He kicked his legs, humming. Is Uncle Daniel coming? I gripped the steering wheel tighter. Yeah, he'll be there. Jacob smiled. Cool. That night, I sat at the dining table with Brooke, going over the guest list. Remy's coming, she said. And Mom, of course. Angelo said he'll swing by after work. Good, I said. Let's make it a party to remember. She reached over and touched my hand. You've been amazing lately. I thought I lost you. I looked at her. You did. You just don't know it yet. She blinked. What? I smiled. Nothing, just thinking out loud. She laughed nervously and went back to her list. The next morning, I met Freddie at his studio. He handed me a flash drive. It's done, he said. Everything? First half's all family stuff. Jacob learning to ride a bike, you guys at the zoo, his first birthday. Then it cuts. The audio clips, the texts, the birth certificate, and the confession. All timed perfectly. I took the drive. You're a genius. He looked at me. You okay? I will be. He nodded. You want me to run the projector? Yeah, I want to be with Jacob when it plays. Freddie hesitated. Cameron? This is going to wreck them. I looked him straight in the eye. Good. 2 days later, I stood in the backyard, stringing up lights while Jacob ran around with his cousins. The grill smoked, music played, and laughter floated through the air like everything was fine. Brooke wore a sundress and smiled at everyone, her arm brushing mine like we were the perfect couple. Daniel arrived with Victoria, both holding gifts. He clapped me on the back. Man, this looks amazing, he said. You really went all out. Only the best for my boy, I said. He grinned. You're a great dad, Cam. Always have been. I forced a smile. Thanks. Victoria gave me a polite hug. Thanks for inviting us. I nodded. Glad you could make it. Seriously. She looked at me for a moment, her expression a little unsure. I turned to Freddie, who was setting up the projector under the canopy. Everything good? I asked. He gave me a thumbs up. Brooke came over, holding a tray of cupcakes. Ready for presents? Almost, I said. But first, I made a little video. For Jacob, and for all of you. She beamed. You always make the best ones. I looked around at the crowd, family, friends, neighbors. Then I looked at Daniel and Brooke. It's about love, I said. And truth. Angelo leaned against the fence, sipping a beer, eyes scanning the backyard like he was watching a chessboard. You and Freddie been talking a lot lately, he said casually. I flipped a burger on the grill and shrugged. Yeah, helping me with the video. Angelo nodded slowly. Funny. He looked real serious when I saw him at the grocery store yesterday, like he was carrying a secret. I glanced at him. You saying something or asking something? He smirked. Just noticing. You've been different lately. Not bad, just quiet, focused. I handed him a plate with a burger. Maybe I'm just tired of pretending everything's fine. Angelo raised an eyebrow but didn't push. He took the plate and wandered off. I spotted Daniel near the drinks table laughing with someone's uncle. Brooke stood a few feet away, smiling like she wasn't sitting on a ticking bomb. I walked over and handed Jacob a juice box. Hey, bud, you having fun? Yeah, Uncle Daniel said he brought me something awesome. Did he? I looked at Daniel. You always bring the good stuff, huh? He chuckled. Only for my favorite kid. Brooke stepped in, brushing Jacob's hair back. He's been so excited all week. Daniel looked at her, then at me. You two seem good. I'm glad. I smiled. We've been working on things. Brooke nodded. Therapy's helped. Daniel's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then at Brooke. She looked at her phone, too. Her face tightened for a split second. I didn't miss it. Daniel texted her. I knew it. I stepped away and circled back toward the projector. Freddie was adjusting the volume. You good? I asked. Locked and loaded, he said. You ready? Almost. I turned back toward the crowd. Victoria stood near the patio, sipping wine, chatting with Zuriel. She caught my eye and gave me a small nod. She'd come early, just like I asked. I'd shown her everything. The texts, the recordings, the certificate. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just said, play it. Now she stood there, calm, composed, waiting. I walked back toward Brooke, who was helping Jacob open a gift from Remy. She smiled at me. He's having the best day. I nodded. It's about to get better. She leaned in. I'm really glad you forgave me. I kissed her cheek. Me too. Daniel watched us from across the yard, eyes narrowing slightly. He pulled out his phone and typed something. I felt my phone buzz in my pocket, but I didn't check it. Brooke did. She glanced at the screen, then at Daniel. She didn't smile this time. I walked to the center of the yard and clapped my hands. Hey, everyone. Before we do cake and presents, I put together a little something for Jacob, a video. People clapped. Kids ran to the grass. Adults gathered near the screen. Brooke took Jacob's hand and sat on a blanket. Daniel and Victoria stood behind them. I stood next to Freddie. Roll it, I said. The screen lit up with soft music. Home videos played. Jacob's first steps, his first words, me teaching him to ride a bike, birthday candles, Christmas mornings. Laughter filled the yard. Brooke wiped a tear. Then the screen went black. The music stopped. A new video began. A screenshot of the birth certificate. Daniel's name. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Then came the texts. Brooke's voice overlaid, reading them out loud. He really thinks Jacob's is... Gasps. Someone dropped a cup. Daniel's face drained of color. Then her confession recorded just days before. I didn't know what to do. I thought if I put your name and it ever came out, it'd be fraud. I love you, Cameron. You're Jacob's dad. No one else. The screen froze on that last sentence. Silence. Then Victoria slapped Daniel across the face. Hard. She threw her wine glass at his feet. You disgusting liar? Daniel stammered. Victoria, wait. Brooke stood up, grabbing my arm. Cameron, what did you do? I pulled away. I've already filed for annulment, I said calmly. Full custody, paternity fraud. Daniel, my lawyer wants to talk to you about child support. Zuriel stood up, eyes wide. Brooke, tell me this isn't true. Brooke shook her head, tears streaming. Mom, please. Zuriel turned away. People started leaving, quietly, quickly. Freddie powered down the projector. Jacob looked up at me, confused. Dad? I knelt beside him. I'm here, buddy. I'm not going anywhere. I looked up at Brooke. Try explaining this to your mom. The day of the party, I woke up before the sun. I stood in the kitchen sipping black coffee, watching the backyard through the sliding glass door. The tables were already set. Streamers flapped gently in the breeze. Freddie had dropped off the projector the night before. All that was left was to hit play. Brooke came in, rubbing her eyes. You're up early. Just wanted to make sure everything's perfect, I said. She smiled and wrapped her arms around my waist. You've been amazing lately. I really think we're getting back to us. I kissed the top of her head. Yeah, I think so too. By noon, the backyard was full. Kids ran around screaming, chasing each other with foam swords. Adults stood in clusters, sipping drinks, laughing. Brooke moved from group to group like the perfect hostess. She looked radiant, hair curled, dress flowing, smile wide. I stood by the grill, flipping burgers, nodding at people, keeping my eyes on the time. Freddie showed up with his laptop bag slung over one shoulder. He gave me a subtle nod and headed straight for the projector set up under the canopy. Daniel and Victoria arrived 20 minutes later. Daniel wore his usual cocky grin. Victoria looked composed, but I could see the tightness in her jaw. Hey, Daniel said, walking over with a gift bag. Where do we put this? Table by the patio, I said. Thanks for coming. Victoria didn't say much, just gave me a small nod and followed him. Zuriel arrived next. She hugged me like I was her own son. You always make things so special for Jacob. Thanks, I said, my voice steady. Angelo came in behind her, carrying a cooler. Heard there's a video this year? Yeah, I said, a little something for everyone. Brooke came over, holding a tray of cupcakes. Everything's going so well, she said. Jacob's having a blast. He deserves it, I said. All of it. She leaned in and kissed my cheek. Thank you for not giving up on us. I smiled. Almost time for presents, she said, walking back toward the kids. I turned to Freddie. You ready? He tapped the laptop. All queued up. I grabbed the mic from the table and tapped it twice. The chatter died down. Hey, everyone, I said. Thanks for coming. Before we do Cake and Presents, I made something for Jacob. A little tribute. People clapped. Jacob ran over and sat on a blanket up front. Brooke sat beside him, beaming. Daniel stood behind them with Victoria, arms crossed. Freddie hit play. The screen filled with light. Soft music played. Clips of Jacob as a baby, his first steps, his first words. Laughter echoed through the yard. Brooke wiped a tear. Daniel smiled. Then the screen flickered. The music stopped. A new image appeared. Jacob's birth certificate. Father, Daniel. The crowd quieted. The screen changed again, text messages. Brooke's voice played over them, reading her own words. He really thinks Jacob's his... Gasps, whispers. Someone dropped a drink. Brooke's smile vanished. Then came the audio clip. Her confession, word for word. I didn't know what to do. I thought, if I put your name and it ever came out, it'd be fraud. I love you, Cameron. You're Jacob's dad. No one else. The screen froze. Silence. Victoria stepped forward. How long? She asked Daniel. He stammered. It was a long time ago. It didn't mean anything. She slapped him, hard. The sound cracked through the yard. I trusted you, she hissed. You're disgusting. Brooke stood up, eyes wild. Cameron, what is this? I took the mic again. I've already filed for annulment, I said, and full custody. Daniel, my lawyer will be in touch about child support. Zuriel stood frozen, her face pale. Brooke, tell me this isn't real. Brooke turned to her. Mom, please. Zuriel stepped back. You lied to all of us. Daniel tried to speak. Cam, man, we were drunk. It was... Shut up, I said. You don't get to talk. Guests started leaving. Quietly, quickly. Some didn't even look at Brooke or Daniel as they passed. Freddie powered down the projector. I walked over to Jacob and knelt beside him. He looked up at me, confused. Dad, what's going on? I hugged him tight. Nothing you need to worry about, buddy. I've got you. I looked up at Brooke. She was crying, trembling, and completely alone. Brooke chased after me as I carried Jacob inside, her heels clicking fast across the patio. Cameron, please, wait. Just talk to me. I turned around at the door. You want to talk? Now? She stopped short. Her makeup was smeared, eyes red. You didn't have to do this in front of everyone. I stepped aside and let Jacob walk in. You didn't have to lie for 10 years. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I shut the door behind me. Inside, Jacob sat on the couch, holding the Captain America shield Daniel had given him. He looked up at me, confused. Why was Mom crying? I crouched down. Hey, buddy, grown-up stuff, okay? Nothing you did. Nothing to worry about. I'm here, always. He nodded slowly. Okay. I kissed his forehead. Go upstairs. Play something loud. He ran up the stairs, the shield banging against the wall as he turned the corner. I stepped back outside. Daniel was standing in the grass, hands on his hips, looking around like he was trying to figure out what had just hit him. Victoria was gone. So were most of the guests. Only Zuriel, Angelo, and Remy remained, standing in stunned silence. Daniel spotted me and walked over. Man, what the hell was that? His voice was low, angry. You blindsided me. Did I? I said. Or did you just finally see yourself? He shook his head. You're blowing this out of proportion. It was a mistake. A long time ago. 10 years, I said. 10 years of watching me raise your kid. He's not mine, he said quickly. I never claimed you signed the damn certificate. I didn't know. Brooke never told me. Then maybe you should have kept it in your pants. He stepped closer. You ruined my life. Victoria's gone. My job's on the line if this gets out. I smiled. Good. Brooke came running over. Cameron, please, can we just talk? Not like this. Zuriel stepped in front of her. Don't. Not now. Mom. Zuriel's voice cracked. You lied to me, to all of us. I defended you. I told people you were a good wife, a good mother. And you let him raise a child that wasn't his. Brooke's lips trembled. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. Zuriel turned to me. You've always been the better one, Cameron. Always. Remy walked over, her arms crossed. I knew something was off, but I didn't want to believe it. Brooke looked at her. You're my sister. And you're a liar, Remy snapped. Angelo stepped beside me. You planned this? I nodded. He looked at Daniel. You deserve it, Daniel scoffed. You all want to act like saints? Like you've never made a mistake? This wasn't a mistake, I said. It was a choice. Repeated, covered up. And you let me raise your kid like nothing happened. Daniel's jaw clenched. You think you're the hero here? No, I said. I'm the one who's done being the fool. He shook his head and walked off, muttering. Brooke turned to me again. Can we at least talk about Jacob? I stared at her. You'll hear from my lawyer. I'm his mother. And I'm the one who's been his father. Every day, every scraped knee, every bedtime story. I made a mistake, she said, voice breaking, but I never stopped loving you. I looked at her, really looked. I don't believe you. She dropped her gaze. Zuriel walked past her toward the street. I'm staying with Remy. Brooke stood there, alone, surrounded by empty chairs and half-eaten cupcakes. Inside, I found Jacob in his room building a Lego tower. Hey, Dad, he said. Can we watch a movie later? Absolutely, I said. He smiled and went back to building. I walked to my bedroom, closed the door, and pulled out the folder from my drawer. Inside were the signed annulment papers, the paternity fraud complaint, and the custody petition. I picked up my phone and dialed my lawyer. It's done, I said. Play the next move. Then I sat down, took a deep breath, and felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Peace. The doorbell rang just after dinner. I opened it to find Brooke standing there, holding a small duffel bag and a folder. Her eyes were tired, makeup gone, hair pulled back in a loose ponytail. She looked like someone who hadn't slept in days. I'm not here to fight, she said quietly. I wanted to talk. I stepped aside. He's upstairs. Homework. She walked in slowly, glancing around like she didn't recognize the place anymore. I got the papers, she said, holding up the folder. I signed them. I took it from her without a word. She looked around again, then sat on the edge of the couch. Mom won't talk to me. Remy either. Well, his company found out. HR is already involved. Victoria posted about it online. It's spreading. I sat across from her. Actions have consequences, she nodded. I know. We sat in silence for a minute. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out a small box. I brought this for Jacob. It's just a book we used to read together. I thought maybe he could keep it, if that's okay. I took the box. I'll give it to him. Her voice cracked. Can I see him? Not tonight, I said. He's confused. I told him we're going to keep things calm for a while. She nodded again. I understand. She stood up, then paused. I'm sorry, Cameron, for everything. I looked at her. You didn't just cheat. You let me raise a child under a lie. You watched me love him like he was mine while you shared a secret with the one person I trusted most. I know, she whispered, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. She walked to the door, opened it, then turned back one last time. I hope one day he forgives me, even if you never do. I didn't answer. I just closed the door behind her. Later that night, I sat at the kitchen table flipping through the folder. Everything was in order. Annulment signed, custody request filed, paternity fraud complaint acknowledged. I'd done it all legally, cleanly. My phone buzzed. From lawyer. Full custody granted. Child support pending. Congrats, Cameron. I stared at the message for a long moment, then smiled. I walked upstairs and peeked into Jacob's room. He was asleep, sprawled out on top of the covers, a comic book open on his chest. The Lego tower still stood on his desk, taller now, more stable. I stepped in, placed the book from Brooke gently on his nightstand, and sat beside him. He stirred. Dad? Yeah, buddy, just checking on you. He rubbed his eyes. Is Mom okay? I thought for a second. She's figuring things out. He nodded. You're not mad anymore? I brushed his hair back. I'm not mad at you, never was, and I'm always here. That's never going to change. He smiled sleepily. Okay. I kissed his forehead. Sleep, champ. As I stepped out, I saw something on the floor. One of his old drawings. Crayon lines, stick figures. A big one labeled Dad holding hands with a smaller one labeled Me. I picked it up, folded it carefully, and slid it into my pocket. The next morning, I called Freddie. You free tonight? I asked. Yeah, why? Let's grab a drink. I owe you one. He laughed. You owe me a hell of a lot more than one. I'll start with whiskey. I hung up and opened the fridge. Jacob's lunchbox sat on the counter. I packed it like always. PB&J, apple slices, a juice box. He came downstairs in his school hoodie, rubbing his eyes. Dad, can we get pancakes this weekend? You bet. He grinned and grabbed his backpack. I watched him walk out the door, his little legs bouncing down the steps, the sun hitting his hair just right. He wasn't mine by blood, but he was mine in every way that mattered, and no one could take that from me.